Welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. Our next guest is a member of our family. And now, again, I feel like I've said this about a lot of guests lately. She's world famous. So we can say we knew her then. Ladies and gentlemen, from Sweet Potato Comfort Pies, it's our good friend Rose McGee. Good morning, Rose.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, we're gonna get to all the fun stuff, or not fun stuff, but the light stuff about your sudden national popularity. But in just a second, but I wanted to start off. Well, first I want to ask, because I haven't talked to you since the pandemic started. How are you doing in that arena? How are you doing there?
It's been tough. It's been tough. Not being able to see the granddaughter. I have a new granddaughter since I saw you last.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, not being able to just give her a big hug. We're just doing virtual greetings because she's way out in California. Just trying to stay positive and find ways to keep other people positive. That's all I can do. It just doesn't work just sitting around twiddling my thumbs.
And I was trying to think of, no matter how I ask, it's going to come across as hollow or so I just want to ask you, what are you feeling as we sit here, I believe almost 4 weeks after the killing of George Floyd? How are you feeling about the community, what you've seen, what you've witnessed over the past few weeks? What are your just overall thoughts?
When will it stop? Because certainly Mr. Floyd wasn't the first. This whole work that I do with the pie began out of Ferguson. And since Ferguson, there have been so many other visits that we've taken these pies to. But when will it stop? And this time, though, it really is impacting a lot of people I know. It's different. And I think that's part of it, too. We hear about these things happening more remote. But when it happens right here in front of us, especially in a way that we saw that happen.
Yes.
We knew it was difficult with Jamar Clark. It was difficult, certainly with Philando Castile. And those were right here with us. But to see the manner in which Mr. George Floyd left this world in the physical sense was just horrific. And it leaves you numb. It leaves you numb. And so for it to happen in broad daylight here.
Do you think it was, I thought about that too, Rose. Do you think it was the complete lack of humanity that was on display in that video that you just couldn't deny? That's what struck me. I think that's what probably resonated with a lot of people. I'm not phrasing that quite well, but you know what I mean.
I do. And we saw it years ago with Rodney King.
Yeah. And you and I are both, I know there are youngins watching that don't remember, but I.
So this continues. This didn't just stop. And now, even this month, it's something about June, I guess. I don't know. But we've got the anniversary of the 3 men who were killed in Duluth, Minnesota. And you say that to people and they're like, no, nothing like that could have happened. Those 3 men were lynched in a horrible way. And this is, the 100th anniversary of that. And the idea of these things happening way then and they're still happening now is what people are having a tough time grappling because, these things just don't happen. Not in my community. No, that does not happen. And that's not true. It does happen.
Do you were down there, and again, we're leading to your national fame, but your sudden national fame. But you went down there, Rose. You were at the intersection, which is now just a sacred place. What was that like? Take me there.
Well, I think it's an experience for individuals. It's not as some people have said, it's not a circus. It's not a fair. It is a sacred place. And when we went with the pies, we were cognizant of that and very respectful of that. Some of the people with me didn't even feel comfortable taking a photograph. They felt it was just too much and they didn't have the right to do that. So people are coming with different feelings in different ways in which they're responding. When I went down to Ferguson with pies for the first time, and there I was in the middle of the street at the memorial that had been set up for Michael Brown, I understood that then. I mean, it just felt strange. First of all, by the time I got there, the crowd was gone. So there were only a few people there and we were just sort of dispersed because people were waiting to see if an indictment was going to occur. So it was just an eerie kind of feeling. So being up there, though, you had people who were in unity, people who needed to just be together. That's the powerfulness of it. But going back to what we talked about earlier, COVID is very much alive and well. And all I could do was stand there and get a little bit unraveled over the number of people who didn't have on masks.
Yeah.
And yet they were so close. But the majority of people did. But so many were not social distancing. So it's so convoluted in terms of how to stay on track with what you're supposed to do when you're caught up in the mourning and the anger and the passion of what's going on. Absolutely.
We're dealing with dual pandemics. We're dealing with the effects of racism, and we're dealing with COVID-19. Your visit down there prompted the entire story of Mr. Floyd has garnered a lot of national attention. You got we're transitioning a little bit to something a little lighter. I'm showing a picture right now. There you are. There's our Rose McGee in People magazine. How did this come about, Rose?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm still a little bit overwhelmed by it all. But a dear writer, Julie Kendrick, began with the story that she did in Huffington Post. And from there, it just went. And as a result, it's all over the place. What's been precious, though, is giving people something to do. And that's what happened with making the pies then. The first night of curfew here, I said, okay, I'm going to sit up all night because there are young people out there that I love that are in the streets, and I'm going to be up all night. I'm up fully dressed too, all night. Yeah. And I went to sleep probably about 4:30, woke up about 7, and I said, I can't do it tonight this way, but I'm going to be up. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make pies tonight. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. And then finally, later in the day, I thought, wait a minute, other people are at home too. Let's get them making the pies. I don't have to make pies by myself. Yes. So we're live. And I said, let's make some sweet potato pies tonight, folks. And then we're going to take them out into the community and you're going to share them with people who are first responders, people who are in pain, people who need a pie to uplift them. I was amazed at the response. And that's what happened. And next thing I knew, I had a caravan of people who were with me, and we drove over, and we finally determined that the people to give them to were the ones who were the volunteers. And they seemed overjoyed by it. So we're about to do it again tonight. We're going to do it tonight, Thursday night, and 8 p.m. Central Time. Going to go on live and make pies wherever you are in your own kitchen, because tomorrow will be the 19th of June, which is Juneteenth. And get those pies out there into the communities in loving ways, in uplifting ways. And that's the power of the sweet potato comfort pie.
It is. And that is the power of you. Now, I want, if you can stay right there, we're going to come back. We're going to wrap up the show. I want to give you the last word of our broadcast today. So you don't go anywhere. If you want to see that photo again, I'm going to put it up again. There's Miss Rose in People magazine. She's also in the Huffington Post, and she's so popular. She was also on NBC Nightly News. She barely had time for me today. I'm just joking. We're going to give Miss Rose the final word when we come back. Back in a moment.